Show, episode number 593. My name is John Morgan, and Cold Coffee is with me. And I'm telling you, Cold Coffee, it is the busiest stretch in CFFC history by far. Now, I'll throw a little caveat in there. When we were doing CFFC match day, and there were times that we had like multiple meets per week, that was more. But in that situation, we also had a lot less to do with the event themselves, right? It's an NCAA event. They've already arranged for travel and the run of show, the competitor, like all that's done. Like, we're there basically just capturing an event that's happening and broadcasting it because we have the rights to put it on UFC Fight Pass. This is a little bit different what we've got. We've got 5 events in the next 6 weeks. 4 of them on UFC Fight Pass. One of them is a next-gen event that will be on OnlyFans exclusively. But 4 events out of the next 5 in the next 6 weeks, all on UFC Fight Pass. So we're in the middle of arranging, all the travel, the flights, the hotels, the medicals. I mean, just not to mention just getting everything arranged, and then the venues and I'm telling you, man, it's chaos and in the best possible way.
100%.
Like, I love it. I absolutely love it. But it's wild, man. My brain, when I was sitting here thinking about, all right, we got to sit down with my man, Cold Coffee. We got to talk some shop. We got to see what's going on with UFC and PFL. Can't lie, my brain is hardcore CFFC right now. So
and to go behind the curtain, while we've been sitting just bullshitting to do whatever, you've taken 2 or 3 calls about fight shit. Yep. So I mean that's that general manager life. I guess.
I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it.
That's cool.
I appreciate Rob Haydak, man, who's obviously my boss at CFFC. He just keeps allowing me to be involved in more and more things. And man, if you know me, and obviously you've known me for a decade plus, you do know me. I want that. I could see some people being like, bro, your boss just keeps putting up more stuff on you, bro.
Put more stuff on your shoulders. Give you more responsibility. That's got to be terrible, right?
But me, if you know me, I'm like, yo, let me have a part in this. Let me be in this. I want to learn this. Again, I've been in this industry forever, and this is kind of like a new side of it for me. So to be able to really get involved in that, and I'll always preface that as well by saying, it ain't just me. We got a team of everybody. Obviously, Rob Haydak does his own thing. Brad Bolton there, Jason Lederfine, Jay Cowan on the production side. I mean, we got a whole crew versus people. So I'm not being like, yo, it's the one-man show over there.
I'm doing it all. Watch me, guys.
100%. But I'm really enjoying being involved in all aspects of it. So it's fun. It's crazy. But I'm just putting on everybody's radar. I won't give you the full breakdown of every card every week and all that, but I'll give you a little teaser just so we can put it on the map. This Friday night, CFFC 158. Now, we did have a flyweight main event between Casey Norton and Livio Ribeiro. Was excited about that. Everybody was pumped up about it. Unfortunately, we had an injury to one of the athletes and were unable to get a replacement opponent in place, so the main event fell apart. But it does something pretty interesting because it allows Liam Hamill and Ethan Pauly at welterweight to move up to the main event, right? Liam, of course, the nephew of the Hammer, Matt Hamill.
Oh, that's right.
Had a rough outing last time. Obviously, had a loss last time but against Ronald Humphrey, who immediately got picked up for Dana White's Contender Series. Ronald Humphrey, I haven't seen exactly what date he's going to be on, but this dude is he's going to make waves on Dana White's Contender Series. So
which starts next week.
Yeah, starts next week. Can't wait for that.
I'm so excited.
Oh, man, I love Contender Series. We got Bilal Hassan.
Well, what's so cool, but I was going to say this season is I guess last season was like the season of CFFC as well. Like, you guys had quite a bit, and I just feel like every year it gets more and more. Especially even last year, I felt like they did – and I guess it's not like it wasn't new, but they did a lot of repeats.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt, I felt like they brought a lot of repeats. People they've really been hammering to try to get in there. But yeah, you guys have done strong. So this year might be like the biggest, I guess, of like the names that we've been saying for a while, to get there. And it's cool that you had some that actually jumped over the contenders and went straight to the Ultimate Fighter too. Like, it's
great, man.
You guys are firing on all cylinders.
Man. We're trying, man.
But Bilal Hassan, I'm so stoked for that one.
Bilal's the man. And I was a little because when they first announced him, I thought for sure Bilal Hassan was going to be the main event. Like, this guy's got his whole career has been on Fight Pass.
So you already know what the order of you just know that he's not the main event?
I just know he's not the main event.
Okay.
I think the main event is the heavyweight fight, which I understand. Like, there's Anthony Wint is on there. He's a guy that's been on Fight Pass as well that looks like a real problem.
Or what week that he's fighting?
Bilal?
Yeah.
First week.
Is it the first week?
Yeah, first week. He's on August 11th.
Holy cow.
But yeah, Anthony Wint versus Matt Adams, I'm pretty sure is the main event, which I get it. Heavyweight, you got some, an undefeated heavyweight going in there, but.
And everybody loves the big bodies. I mean, like.
I get it. So I get it. But I wanted Bilal to get that headliner status because I think he deserves it. So
I mean, at the end of the day, if Bilal goes out and does what Bilal does, Bilal can still steal the show.
Agreed.
I mean, we've seen guys at the beginning of the card steal the show. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're in the main event or not, but like if he comes out there and does what he needs to do, and I'm hoping. So we've been trying to like run some ideas of different little series and stuff, and I wanted to talk with the UFC, but we were trying to get some ideas of like trying to like section out and like have a series where one of our staff like sort of like picks a spotlight person or two to pay attention for the Contender Series week that's coming up or something.
Right.
And like Bilal would be like a no-brainer.
Easy.
You know,
Easy.
And so I mean like he's the kind of guy, if he goes out there and does what we know he can do, I mean like he can easily steal the show.
Because everything he does with style, right? Like it's not just the undefeated record. If you had a chance to watch him, you know, just fun style, right?
Yep.
And then really good on the microphone too,
right?
Really like he's got personality. He knows he's purposeful when he talks on the mic. You know what I mean? But he's entertaining as well.
Not a boring fighter. I mean, like he's just fun to watch. I mean, like, and I don't want to jinx it or anything because I feel like we've had other CFFC guys that were the complete package as well, and it didn't work out. But I don't. I'm knocking on wood. I don't feel like we're gonna, Bilal. If he comes up, showing up, looking good, feeling good. It'll be there for him to win, so we'll see.
And just 25 years old, man. I feel like we've been watching him so long at CFFC. I feel like I've been in a rush to get him there, but it's like, no, man, take your time. And the good thing for he was never in a rush, even though we kept saying like, bro, this kid's ready. He was like, I'll get there. Yeah, don't worry, I'll get there. And now here he is, 8-0. I always say,
you gotta be careful what you wish for. Remember, the Ali. Biagio Ali Walsh or whatever. They were really trying to slow his roll, and for good reason. I mean, like the kid had a potential to get whatever, and he was doing really good. They were picking good fights, but then you start getting into deeper waters, and then you start getting these losses. And I mean, like it's tough. It's tough out there. You gotta, like you could have these stars, and if you rush them too quick. And I remember for him, we were like, "Why are you still amateur? Why are you still amateur?" And I was like, maybe we were the ones that did him wrong. You should have stayed amateur for a little bit.
No doubt. Well, so that's what's cool. Coming up with Contender Series, and I can't wait for that. I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, this weekend, Liam Hamill versus Ethan Pauly in the main event. So Ohio ties, Liam Hamill, obviously how name, and Cornell Beecham Jr. versus Iman Hardy moves up to the co-main event. Yeah,
is he gonna go? So? Does he corner?
He cornered him last time. Yeah. In fact,
I love seeing that dude. I don't know. I just love seeing
Matt was
dude.
great last time.
So
Matt's a legend, and so saw him last time. Talked to him briefly, like I was passing in the hallway. But Jason Liederfine was actually telling me that at one point, because our last show that Liam was at was down in Florida, and Tito Ortiz was there. I don't even think he wasn't like scheduled as a guest with us, so maybe he was a guest of the casino.
I remember.
Or something.
Remember they showed him on the broadcast.
So Tito Ortiz.
So he just showed up at the. He was just.
I think maybe the casino had him there, or maybe he was just in the area. I don't know. Like I know that he wasn't. We didn't arrange for him to be there. So but Tito Ortiz was there. But Jason Liederfine was telling me that I guess. Matt Hamill wanted to talk to Tito Ortiz, so he actually brought Tito backstage. So Jason got to broker like those two guys catching up and hanging out for a second. Two old school legends.
Old school. Yeah.
So
that's very, very
so Matt will be there. So
Tito got a good pop from the crowd. I remember watching that show. I was like,
he did get a good pop.
That's pretty cool.
So that's our new main event. So even though we lost the main event, I think it's cool because Liam gets that fight at home. He was frustrated by the last result, but now he's like, hey, I'm ready to show out. Ethan Pauly, if you remember, challenged for the welterweight title against Kevin Peace, and he kind of got dominated in the grappling against Kevin Peace. Wasn't the most exciting fight, but it was pretty one-sided for Kevin Peace. Kevin immediately comes back afterwards, says, John, I'm sorry, like I was hesitant, but I hadn't fought in a year, and I just really needed to win, and I was very conservative, and I know that's not the best, but please understand that's where I was, but I want to let you know I want to go to lightweight next because I feel like that's where my future is, and I want to challenge for the lightweight title. And I'm like, I was like, all right, let's regroup. Hold on, like, you're talking wild, you know what I mean? Let's regroup. But then we caught up with him later, and he said, yeah, dude, I want to make lightweight. And of course, went out at Liberty Hill, threw on the hill, had that amazing performance at lightweight. And so I feel like it almost kind of recasts the performance against Ethan Pauly, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like Ethan's like, oh man, maybe you just weren't ready for that level. Now you realize, oh wait, no, Kevin Peace had leveled up a little bit. Yeah. So Ethan went
champion level right there.
That's it. So Ethan went up to Canada, got a win on the regional level up there, and now he's back with us. So I like that got promoted to the main event. And then the other one is Cornell Beecham Jr. in our co-main event. Looks like an absolute stud prospect, right? If you remember, he fought for us already once, had a great victory. But this guy was a D3 national champion and wrestler, and All-American running back. Now, it's D3, but dude,
still,
at a collegiate level, to be
that's legit.
A star in 2 sports and those 2 sports of all of them.
I was going to say, regardless of D3, D, whatever, I mean, like, most people get weeded out in high school, whether you have any sort of talent or not. That's it.
Insane.
You know, so if you even are able to walk on to a school, let alone, you know, actually have the skill set and the body frame, you know you're athletic. You know he's got some I guess, good skill set and strength.
Physical tools are there, right?
Tools,
the physical tools are there. So I'm excited about that. But he's facing Eamon Hardy, who Eamon is like, this dude is just straight up anybody, anywhere. And like, he's one of those guys, like, don't care. What's the name? Like, just tell me where to be there. You know, I love those guys. So he loves to scrap. He's always in entertaining fights. Go. That's it. Like, what medicals do you need? Let's go. So anyway, and so Cordell Beecham is a Cincinnati native as well. So now, so it's one of those things like, I'm bummed we lost the main event, but I kind of like the way it worked out, where we got Ohio guys in our first fight in Ohio, in the Buckeye State. I don't know, should I yell out an OH on broadcast or something just to see what happens?
I would do it. Well, I mean, they're not going to hear you.
That's true.
Because you'd have to do it really loud.
So
you'd probably just have to, maybe when you do, you have to do a post-fight interview and just say, hey, you know, I hear this is a thing here. I'm just going to try this. And then give an OH.
That'd be good. No, but that's only for Buckeyes, right? Like,
but if you're in the state of Ohio.
So if you just, which I know everybody is a Buckeye fan out there.
I mean,
much.
Like, I've had friends that, you know, for some reason chose our arch rival. I think they got tired of it just getting thrown down their throats. But primarily, if you're in Ohio, most people, whether they're fans or whatever, will play along. Most
even
likely.
If it's not their
even
university.
If it's not their school or whatever, they'll get it and they'll be like, oh, if somebody says OH, you know, they're kind of, you know, obligated to have to answer.
They're safe, right? But by the way, and that is another little wrinkle. You know where Ethan Pauly's from? Michigan.
Is he really?
So you got Ohio versus Michigan in the main event in Cincinnati. You know what I mean? A little flavor there.
See, well then now he's got to go. He's got to lose. I was, you know, I wasn't biased until you said that. Now, like, it's funny you just because there's no other reason this will ever come up in conversation, but just because you brought that up, there's a guy I follow on Instagram. He has a food cart here in town, but he just opened up a brick location, 2 of them. But it was corned beef. It was Detroit corned beef. Really, really solid stuff.
Right.
But like, I followed the thing. I was like, oh, okay, I need to get over and support their store. He showed a picture of him with a receipt, and he's like, you come in here talking about all that Buckeye nonsense, you going to pay a tax. There was a line item on the receipt that said Ohio State tax or whatever, and charged him $100. And then I was just like, no. And he's like, but then even in his comment, he's like, but the real ones still pay it, you know, or whatever. I was like, oh shit, this motherfucker. I was like, now I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna get my Ohio State tax. I'm gonna go in there and say this food is delicious, but fuck you.
But I stand behind the Buckeyes so much, I'll pay your stupid tax just to stand and support. I will not renounce my association with Ohio State. I'd rather pay the $100 than renounce my association.
Not $100, but I'll pay the dollar tax that I saw on it. I thought it was pretty funny.
Is great. It's a good rivalry. I mean, obviously growing up in Texas,
it's one of the best rivalries. Texas and
OU, Texas A&M, like a lot of good rivalries in. But when I lived in there, like the passion. I only lived in Ohio for a year, but I remember. I'll never forget the first time sitting in like a B-Dubs and the OHIO. You know, chant. I
mean, in terms of college rivalries, I mean, there's not many that I think line up to that one. It's one of the best.
One of the best.
One of the biggest and baddest.
It doesn't hurt that, you know, both of them have 100,000 seat stadiums, and so the visuals
and their
are
athletic
always,
budgets are pretty darn ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a whole different ball game, and you know, so I get that. You know, like that's why I always appreciate when, you know, we play some of the other division schools and they put on their best showing. They just don't have the roster to keep up. They might put on a great showing to start, but eventually those guys get tired and they just don't have the depth. But I always appreciate the schools that don't have the recruiting dollars. They don't have these programs because it's a whole different playing field, you know, than anything else. But yeah. So yeah, one of these days we'll go to Detroit corned beef here in town.
That's
just we
funny.
can do that, whatever.
That's funny. A lot to talk about. You know, not the biggest of weeks, but still a lot going on. But before we get to full MMA conversation, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that you're getting some nice growth over here in the greenhouse. I mean, I'm starting to see some plants. And folks, let me let you know. Last week we kind of explained the extensive lighting system. I mean, you're definitely going to be growing marijuana here soon. But I mean,
not
the
with these lights.
lighting system that you got going on here. I mean, it's a pretty impressive setup. But today, there was a new wrinkle, right? So we talked about the soil tendencies, the needs there. We talked about the lighting tendencies. Today, I go to set up in what used to be our studio and is now a greenhouse that we are finding a way to sit in.
To Tetris around and fit in.
It's a great way to say it. That's exactly what we're doing. We're Tetrising around here, finding it. But as I go to set my computer in the same place I always am, I realize, well, there's a piece of equipment here that I might have to, and I don't want to touch anything because I don't want to screw anything up. And but you happily moved it. And what it was just a slight little fan. Not a big fan, not on high, not a box fan.
No,
we're not something we're looking for noise.
No.
He's just a slight little fan. And I was and Cold Coffee explained to me, listen, this fan is here, and the reason being, you have to replicate the breeze outside, the slight breeze outside, because otherwise these growing entities here, they will have a stalk that goes long and tall, but it's not being tested. It's not being tested. It doesn't understand what it's going to face in the real world.
I don't remember describing it exactly like that, but that's the meaning behind what I said, for sure.
So all of you would be or want to be, again, I told you, when this man goes into something, he learns all about it. So not only do you want your moisture and your light to be right, but you need some circulation, so they're being tested.
That's it.
They're being tested.
If I happen to have this because this is a camping fan. If I had my druthers, I would have an oscillating fan because then wouldn't constantly. Yeah, then it's like shake, 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 then it stops. Shake, 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 which is more like actual nature instead of this.
Instead of now, you're just getting
just
shake, shake,
shake, shake, shake, shake.
Then you gotta adjust it.
Yeah.
Well, but maybe you got to put it on the Amazon wish list or something. I don't know.
I got to stop buying shit from Amazon.
It's great. All right, listen, a lot of fun stuff to talk about, but as we do get into the MMA side of things, you have to start out with an unfortunate, sad note, man. The passing of Allan Nascimento, dying at 34 of an apparent heart attack, and obviously the news is still kind of new. It's wild, actually. We were having a matchmaker meeting last night. And I had been busy all day. Actually, my son was it was his orientation day at high school, so I kind of kept my phone in the pocket. Like, we went there and toured the high school, got the class schedule, all that stuff. So I kept my phone in my pocket. Didn't catch up with things, and so we got on the phone for the matchmaker meeting, and they were like, "Man, you hear about Nascimento?" And I'm like, "What? Like, passed away?" And I'm like, "Can't be this." Like, I totally missed. I'm like, cannot be the guy I'm thinking about in my head. Like, this has to be, sometimes the Brazilians, there's a lot of the Nascimento name, the Silva name, Souza, whatever. I'm like, it's got to be somebody.
Oliveira's.
Yeah.
There's a few.
Got to be somebody else, and pull it up. And no, I mean, fought June 20th in Nevada.
Holy cow.
You know what I mean? Like, that's 7 weeks ago. Fight 7 weeks ago.
I was going to say, I felt like it had not been that long since we seen him.
Just unfortunate, man. A guy that, I mean, first of all, the first thing that strikes you is just incredibly unfortunate. A reminder that I guess life isn't guaranteed, that it's fleeting. You need those every now and then, I guess, just to remember that don't take it for granted. Don't put anything off, because here was an athlete. I mean, truly a professional athlete, an experienced professional athlete, in the lighter weight classes. So he's a guy that's in good
incredible shape. I mean, like, when you look at these guys, I mean, like we've always said, I mean, if there's going to be an athlete you want to look at and say, like, man, I'd really like to look like this particular one. These fighters,
I mean, martial arts, not hard to go.
Oh my goodness gracious! I mean, just crazy. I mean, granted, I guess if there's underlying things you never can know.
You don't know. You can genetic conditions.
You can look all the things, and there could still be something. But yeah, this was never in any particular area that you thought a guy like this would be something that would die of a heart attack at this age. It's just absolutely mind blowing.
And not that this matters, because what matters is the passing. And again, a guy that. Look. I mean, not that we knew him well, because he, spoke Portuguese and translation stuff, but always had like good energy. Whether he was fighting or when he was in the corner of his teammates, you know what I mean. He was always smiling, good energy every time he was around. And like I said, we watched him compete a lot. And again, I think maybe this is me just now, because my brain is so switching over to like the operation side and all that. Is that fighting in Nevada, first of all, he's getting the most stringent medical testing possible. I mean, states like Nevada, California, New Jersey, these are the most stringent testing you could possibly have.
Yep.
But it did make me a little bit sad to think that, because I know that in Nevada it's age 35 or older, that when you're 35 or older you have to have a stress EKG, I should say, to get clearance from a cardiologist. You don't need that before that. So my brain starts thinking like, oh man, if he was a year older, would something have caught something? And I don't know that would, because exactly what you said. You jump on a treadmill and do the stress test. I'm sure it shows that you're, your resting heart rate's probably low. Yeah. So it might not have caught anything, but it did just make me think like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, you figure a lot of these athletes, and even like Allan, I mean, like most of them that have had access to the PI, a lot of them do the stress test. A lot of them get to see a lot of how their hearts actually work. So I wouldn't, could have something popped up in a test? Sure. I mean, but more than likely with the guy doing work here in town, I bet they've done stress tests. I bet they've seen other kind of things at the Apex.
As much as he's around.
The PI. Yeah, because it felt like he was here a decent amount. But, yeah, it's kind of crazy because, I mean, that wasn't that long. I guess when I look at the calendar, it says November, but it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, when he last fought at, like, the Apex. But, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I remember when I saw it and I was like, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just, when you saw the thing, I was like, no, that can't be it. There's got to be, this is just a headline of something else. It's going to say that he got married or he did whatever. And just certainly thinking that heart attack, and there's no good way. We were talking beforehand, I mean, it's one thing to go in your sleep. I mean, I think we all, talk about how it'd be nice to go in your sleep as opposed to a lot of the other ways. Up. But, at this age, with so much of his career and life and everything in front of him, it's just so heartbreaking. And, we've, with a junkie family, have dealt with heartbreak from heart attacks, taking somebody way too young recently as well. And it's just to see another young person go so early is just so heartbreaking, and just makes you grateful that, we have those days, that we're here another day, and take the time to appreciate your family and your loved ones, and that you are here. And I certainly appreciate everybody that's taking part of their day to listen to us ramble about other little stuff. But this certainly does bring it back to, brings it back to center that, life is precious, and we are grateful that we are here. But yeah, I mean, such a nice dude.
It's just that's just a reminder that always strikes me when somebody's so young and unexpected, is just to like, don't. Again, not to bring things down, but just don't take anything for granted. Like I'm sitting here talking about, man, like in my brain right now, it's all I'm thinking about is the checklist that needs to be done over these next 6 weeks, right? Like everything that needs to happen.
Yep.
Plus, my son starting school and making sure,
you start to see all those back to school special shit coming out.
That's everything that's in my head, you know what I mean? So it's like I walk through the day, and from the moment I wake up until the moment I go to sleep, it's a checklist of everything that needs to be done. And sometimes it's maybe nowhere in that checklist is it like, hey, man, just take a second to sit back and be like, man, what a blessing that I'm even here. What a blessing that I get to make a living by working in an industry that I absolutely love. Yep. You know what I mean? What a blessing that I get to be a part of these events. And just forget.
Sounds like a good checklist to add on there. Yeah. Good thing to add on, because I mean, I think that is something, if we could remind ourselves to say something a day. Even just give thanks to whatever you want to give thanks to. Or just to appreciate the fact that we are here, still doing things and still breathing, still being able to enjoy, things. But yeah, man, what a bummer.
Terrible. And I think it'll get kind of overshadowed, obviously, because the memory of somebody passing is terrible. But did you see also because as I was looking at that right away, then I see this headline for what Danny Silva was going through in a medical condition. Did you see this?
I did hear that I saw his name in the news, but I didn't see what it was about.
So UFC featherweight, and I guess from what I'm hearing, like he's not even sure he'll ever compete again from these initial responses. But deep vein thrombosis, vein in the neck. He had a clot that was traveling to his lung, pulmonary embolism. I mean, this dude got lucky as hell that he didn't die.
Yeah, that's real deal shit right there. That's pulmonary embolism, stuff, and like that's holy shit. Now I'm seeing that. That's crazy.
So nuts, man.
That's the stuff that, I mean, the people don't, I mean, you just keel over from that.
You just keel. That's it. It's like the silent thing, right? Like
you're fucking done.
And again, a professional athlete who's training, who's he was talking about the fact that he felt some pain during camp, but he like went out and ran 3 miles and you know what I mean, just like pushing through, because that's the mindset of a fighter is, well, yeah, I'm a little bit banged up, yeah, I'm a little bit bruised, yeah, I hurt a little bit, but nobody's going to get more ready than me for this cage fight. You know what I mean? And he did say in his quote that doctors told him that maybe his level of fitness, because it was such a high level, might have helped save his life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but also with somebody telling him like, hey, you need to go to the emergency room. A lot of people don't listen to that advice. A lot of people are like, I'm good. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna take some aspirin. I'm gonna lay down and never get back up. You know, so like.
Listen to the signs.
Listen to the signs. I think, and listen to those friends. It might be a pain in the butt to get up and go, and sometimes, unfortunately, there's a cost to go to the emergency room. There's a cost to go check that shit. I think
that's why most people. I mean, I know some people just like, I don't like to be around doctors. 100%. Like, I don't like. But I think mostly it boils down to the money that you know. If it was
free to go and people didn't have to worry about the cost of getting healthcare, people would be taking care of themselves so much better. It's so unfortunate, but I'm glad that you did because that's nasty. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing. And you often wonder too, and that can happen to people that aren't athletes, but you have to wonder, I know he's in good shape and that helped him, but does at any point of bruising and beating on your body help maybe create some of these things inside there as your body heals? Can it help create blood
as much
clots?
as I love the sport, it can't help.
Right? Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe it doesn't do any of that stuff, but you got to think all the trauma and internal sort of contusion and damage that blood clots could get formed, and then maybe if you have something in your genetics that builds and lacks on it, like for fat guys like us or me, there would be plaque in my bloodstream that would hook onto something like that, and then it causes whatever. It just makes you wonder. But so good on him for his health thing, but I mean that's scary. I mean that's the kind of shit that when you're in the hospital, after something like that, and you just is fighting as the number one important thing. I mean, granted, you got to make sure you make a living, but it's certainly, at that point you start checking your list of what's really important. I mean, I know when I had my surgery, when I was getting ready to say my things, I was like, what's important? And certainly I can't wait till I get back to work. I can't wait to get back and whatever, so those are scary times. So I'm sure he's having those thoughts right now. I know he'll want to be, because these guys want to get back to their normal, which this is not anybody else's normal, but the training and then the fighting or whatever. But for a guy to probably slow down that's so used to doing stuff, that's probably got to be very, very hard.
Yeah.
And I think that's why when the fighters retire, it's so hard from them, because the adrenaline rush is one thing. We've heard that from the, Cowboy used to always say that, and all the other ones say, like, where am I going to get this? Where am I going to get this adrenaline rush? But things like this, I mean, you got to, you just find being grateful about just the little things. You got to find the little things again that make a lot of sense and are important.
It's a cliche, and actually I hear it a lot more now. Maybe it's just because I'm getting older. But I'll never forget the first time I ever heard it, because it seemed so revolutionary to me, and I'll never forget it too, because it was Danny Silva of all people that told me this. And again, like I said, it's a cliche, but I'll never forget that he was the first one that I heard it from, and it was just the whole thing about a healthy man has a million problems, like a sick man has one. I mean, it's like you realize once your health is that is the only thing that matters. All these things that stress you out in your life, and all these things that you're worried about, and all that. When the health changes, you all realize that don't mean shit. Yeah. All that matters is your health. So
wow.
Man, anyway, shout out to him. I know that would probably fly under the radar because there was, a tragedy even worse than his, but hopefully he does heal up. Real quick, we'll spend a lot of time on this past weekend, but a really, really entertaining fight night, man. Hopefully everybody got to and caught the card from Serbia, because it ended up being record-setting in the number of finishes.
Yeah, so first round finishes.
Oh my gosh, it was just nonstop. And so I think that's one of those cards that, even if you didn't necessarily know all the combatants, and I thought there were enough, notable names on here, but even if you didn't know some of the combatants, I mean, when you sit down and watch a fight card and you're seeing nothing but finishes, that's just fun. You know what I mean? It's an entertaining time. So hopefully everybody got a chance to watch it. And then you did have some big statements being made. Uros Medic, the spectacular performance over D-Rod. Unfortunate for Daniel Rodriguez.
Yeah, that was, whoo.
That was, we talked about it last week. I was a little bit shocked at how wide the odds were, and then you saw the way it played out, and it's like maybe the odds weren't wide enough. You know what I mean? It was amazing.
I don't think anybody could have fucking predicted that.
Not like that.
Not like that.
Not like that. I didn't see that.
Not him.
But I thought that. So as gutted as I was for D-Rod, and I did I liked D-Rod's statement that he came out with afterwards, right? Like from what he went through.
Yep.
To be back there.
Yep.
Like obviously not the result you wanted, but hey man, be proud and be happy of where you are. You know that's not.
And to go out like that, it's certain like it wasn't like because I can see where some people sometimes are like, oh man, he was already prepared to lose when they're just happy to be there.
Right.
Bro, he was not trying. That's not him, and that's certainly when you go out like that. I mean, when you take that shot, it was just a perfectly placed shot. I mean, it was just, and then the follow up was nasty too. I mean, it was that nice little overhand that just snuck in there.
Yep.
And then he just quickly followed it up. I was like, you got to give Medic the fucking props, man. That was like
he did it.
He trained like he was like, I'm headlining for a reason. Like this is it.
And how beautiful that moment was afterwards. Like that made me sit there and think, man, like
well, they were having a bit of a rough night over in Serbia because they didn't do so good most of the night.
No,
they were losing.
They
so
did.
They needed something.
They needed something to latch onto. But I thought that was such a cool thing. Like it made me think. Like, and I still don't know how high I think Urosh's ceiling is, right? Like he's definitely somebody you're going to pay attention. I mean, he's exciting. Like we've seen that, right? We've seen he's exciting.
Yep.
We've seen he's fun. And so you know that, hey, this is at least a guy worth paying attention to. It's a guy worth watching, et cetera, et cetera. But, I don't know that I necessarily look and say, like, that dude's definitely future champion. I don't know yet. I'm still watching it evaluate. But to think about that, man, to leave your home country, to chase these dreams, and then to come back to your home country for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And you're in the main event, and you deliver. I mean, that literally, like, that's a movie. Like, if no matter how far his career goes from here, like, the odds of saying, I'm from this country, and I'm leaving, and I'm going halfway across the world, and I'm chasing my dreams. And then not only do you achieve those dreams, but you know, at least some semblance of it, but you get to come back to your home country, headline a car. I
guarantee
cool,
when he
man.
made the movie, he never thought that day would even come.
Right?
Like who thought, okay, there was going to be a UFC fight in Serbia, like, all these places. I mean, like it's bonkers that it worked out that way, but it's incredible. I mean, I can see where some people would say, yes, that was a great performance, but, that wasn't the D-Rod of old, like the D-Rod that was maybe in the contender sort of role early on. But still, to put that performance on and show up like that, and it was still a dangerous D-Rod. He looked. I would say if Uros was a little bit slow to start or something, but like he literally, the fight was over in seconds. He came out firing, all guns blazing. I mean, I thought he looked as good and prepared as anything. So while it might not have been the same D-Rod, I thought it was still the potentially dangerous D-Rod. But regardless, if you would put anybody opposite him at that point, I think we would have saw a really incredible fight. Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of with you. Do I think he's going to be a championship level? Maybe not, but I certainly think he's with that trajectory of what he put out there, you could tell that he's certainly doing the work to get to that point, at least put his name in contention.
Yep.
At least. So, but no, I thought it was incredible. And it was so funny with the flares. Like, what's up with the flare things?
That was crazy.
I was like, what do you do after you start it?
That was crazy.
Like, those don't go out for a while. I'm just going to, sorry, guy. Oh, sorry. Oh, now we got to walk out. Can I,
excuse me. Let me through. Dude, just go through the flare.
It's like, what do you do with that?
It is such a European, like, soccer culture thing or whatever.
Crazy. But I thought it was so cool. But I can just imagine. I love that they.
It is cool, but also knowing UFC security staff as well as we do, like, I'm sure they were stressing a little bit. They're like, this
fucker better not throw that down or something. Like, don't be a dick. All right, I see you up there. I think there was like two of them.
Yeah.
And they showed him. I thought it was pretty cool that they showed him. They're like, all right, let's not show him.
I think they wanted to, like, not glorify it.
Not glorify it. But at the same time, I'm sure they were like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And I'm like, but I guess if you're there, they're like, no, bro, the procedures, we like these, and then we take them with us or whatever. Okay, cool. Don't be that guy that's like, all right, I'm drunk. I'm just going to throw it down levels,
Just imagine the dude, like, patiently
in line
walking.
To go to the bathroom.
He's got to go pee real quick. He's got the flare in his hand, and he's... That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, hang on, guys. I got to get
that shit spews like ash and, like, other little shit. You're like, bro... who knows?
It's just not part of culture. I mean, it looks cool, like visually. Like, obviously, being a soccer fan, like, I see it and it looks cool.
I cheesed the hell out of it when I saw it. I was like, "That's awesome."
But when I think about the practicality of it, you know what I mean?
Then the other part of my brain's like, "Yeah, does he put it down? Does he have to hold it now? Like, those things burn a while. Like, if it's the same flares, like for like." you have a road emergency, you put flares on.
Yeah.
That shit lasts for a long time.
The other one too, and it's obviously a whole different scope, but like the whole like throwing the beer thing in celebratory moments. I'm like,
oh yeah,
bro, I just paid like $18 for this beer, and now I don't have anything to drink, and you know what I mean? Like now I gotta go back.
You would have to get 3 beers because
Yeah,
you want your walking beer, your drinking beer, and then your throwing beer.
100%. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, how about if I just yell really loud or like, I don't know.
How about I just cheer and drink my beer?
I'm not throwing my beer. All right.
That's funny.
Other ones, obviously, Navajo Sterling. He continues to look amazing, man.
Wow.
That dude again, and he's another one. And it's funny because I feel like I was the same with Carlos Solberg as well, like his teammate, where I'm like, I've just been slow on him. Like I've been slow to be like, oh, definitely like I see the champion.
And he's another guy that's great on the mic. I mean, he does really well. Yes. Like when he media day knocked it out of the park. I mean, like the guy he's solid, man. Solid.
Good stuff. Big opportunity. Rakic, not the greatest debut at heavyweight, but I think clearly it's the right division for him, so we'll see where that plays out. I will say, I think like everybody else, I mean, Michael Oliveira, like that dude looks like he's going to be a problem. That is somebody looks like he's going to be a problem. Somebody was worth watching.
If he keep making that weight, man, he is
I don't know how long he can do it.
Scary dude.
Mark Vologden has to be the best fighter, still waiting for his first UFC win. Like I love watching that guy fight. So great night overall in Serbia. I hope everybody caught it. I was able as well to catch the PFL, which I'm embarrassed. I literally, and this again, now granted, my head is very much in CFFC land, so it's not like when I was, just MMA media and all my schedule was around this. I went the whole week thinking PFL was Saturday night. Yeah, I really thought it was on Saturday night, and I guess that kind of speaks to the, moving dates and this sort of thing and moving it all around. Luckily, it was funny actually. Friday afternoon, I was doing some work around my house, and I was just flipping for something to come on, and I was like, "Oh wait!" And it was literally like right as the prelims were starting, so I caught the whole fight card. But in my head, like I literally was talking about it, like, "Oh, it's Saturday night. You should watch. It's Saturday night." No, it's actually Friday night. I did get to see it. I will say, Dakota Ditchva, not the greatest performance, but
she got tested.
But she got tested, and she got a win. Like I said, I thought those odds were insane with Denise Kielholtz.
That was ridiculous.
It wasn't indicative of how good the fight was. And then, of course, Usman Nurmagomedov got the win. Got to assume he's going to the UFC next. That's no disrespect to PFL.
Yeah, all that weird shit with like Jake and the belt and all that stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
Like Khabib just like wrestling it away from him to put the belt on him and stuff.
Supposedly they had talked about it. And I guess, like, Jake had – this is what's weird, because I've heard multiple people say this, that they talked about it and it was agreed to, and that I guess Jake had, like, an agreed-upon, like, word at what point he was going to give it to him. And I guess Khabib wanted to – like, I guess maybe Jake just wanted to hand it to him at a certain time, like, and no, was down.
Then hand it to Khabib?
I don't know, man. That's – supposedly
just so he can make sure
to,
that he got, like, proper time on the screen or something.
I guess. And then Khabib was just like, yo, give me the belt. Like, you said
But then it's funny because you could tell him, like, I can only imagine what he's like, I took that from that motherfucker. And then if you watch him after they start doing the whatever, he goes back over to the other coach, and then they say a little something. You could tell he was just jawing, like, whatever. So, yeah, that certainly gave me the impression of, like, it's almost like an already done deal.
I think already done deal.
I think he's already planning to go to the UFC.
And listen, I believe Usman's going to come in and make an immediate impact. Like, he's that good.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, anybody that's like, oh, he's been in PFL. No, he's that good. Look at who he's training with. Look at who his teammates are. He is, and they'll tell you to a man that he's as good as any of them. I think he's going to have an immediate impact. I do think it's the right thing. I mean, if you're PFL, I think you make at least an offer. Can we see what the UFC, you'll have matching rights, I would assume. I didn't negotiate the contract, but in most contracts, there's matching rights. I assume you at least see what the UFC offers and be like, should we go with it? Should we not? But, I see a lot of people saying they can't let this guy go. They can't let this guy go. I'm going to tell you right now, I think they can let the guy go. Yeah. I don't think it makes sense to financially. Like, Usman is great. Yeah. He's not a household name.
Right.
He doesn't move the needle. I think
just having Khabib there does not do you anything. Even though it's cool to see him for us, like to see him, like it's not doing anything for the whatever. I mean, like you can't break the bank just to keep this guy. If you had one person that you had to keep around, they've already sort of done that with Dakota. I mean, like locking her down for like the next 5 fights or whatever, I think is probably where they're like, okay, we could build around this, and there are certain other areas. I think one, they realized that Usman, was probably going to ask some crazy astronomical amount. And who knows? Dana might just been like, we were going to pay something crazy anywhere just to stick one back to him or whatever.
Which they will. They'll overpay at times.
But in terms of like promotion and the other stuff, PFL can never. They just don't do the work to advertise.
You're not going to get your money back.
Yeah.
Bottom line, it's just like, and there's not, and Archie Colgan, I thought got a little bit disrespected as well. Now, granted, he got handled, but he was a tough competitor. But if you're talking about Usman being among the absolute best in the world, you're going to struggle to find good fights for him. You know what I mean? So are you paying, several $1 million for a squash match?
I mean, it's tough to not call like Archie the B side, but I mean, like, because some people like, you could have a Connor say, there's no B side, I'm just the A side, and there's nothing else. I'm doing all. It was kind of for this particular one, like the people that knew Colgan knew who he was, but outside of that, like, you're never going to get your full bang for whatever they're paying. And I'm sure he was probably getting a decent amount to begin with, especially after things kind of came together. But it doesn't make sense for them to try to go into a bidding war. I mean, like, just to keep him around. I mean, if anything else, just move on, find a new stud to kind of like build around that maybe, I don't know, doesn't have the team. I don't want this to sound the wrong way. I can imagine this team could be not the easiest at times to deal with because they're used to getting their way. They're used to pushing around. They're used to like, we're going to show up with 30 of us.
This is true.
I know you want 5 of us. We're going to show with 30 of us. And you're going to accommodate us, And, so I imagine that it's corrupt. It could be probably worth them saying, okay, it's not worth what we're getting out of it.
I think you're better off just letting him go. Let him go chase it. And again,
maybe give a slight offer with a little bit of a bump.
That's what I'm saying. See what the UFC has and see what it's worth. But if it's like, hey, the UFC came crazy, man, they're gonna pay him $5 million a fight. Like, bro, don't pay $5 million a fight. You're not gonna get it back. And you're in a financially, delicate place right now. You got this new partnership, and you talked about clearing the balance sheets and all that. Don't immediately just start going into more debt. When again, as great as Usman is, I don't think he has that crossover appeal right now. So it's like, let him go, and then I think you're better off, just sitting back and as you develop the new brand to talk about like, hey man, people say our athletes aren't the best. Look at Kayla Harrison. Look at Usman Nurmagomedov. They're UFC champions. Like, they came from us. I think that does you good. You know what I mean? I think you can market that. So, anyway, fun weekend of fights, and we get a similar setup this weekend. Before we talk about this week's fights, I guess just a couple of quick updates too. I want to go. You mentioned Conor McGregor finally going in for surgery. I guess that's a good thing. I guess the one thing I'm still wondering is and it's not his job to necessarily. Here's what I guess I find is interesting. So we don't really know what the injury is yet, as far as I know. I haven't seen a final report and what the recovery time is going to be. And normally, I would say that like it's not necessarily in the best interest of a fighter to disclose their injuries. Like, you don't need to. You know what I mean? I've always said like you don't really need to let your opponent know that your right ankle or your right knee, or you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to disclose everything in interviews if you want to keep that private so that you don't make your potentially ailing part a target or whatever. Then that's okay. But with Conor, like, there's no hiding what happened. You know what I mean? It's not like, you mean he's having surgery on his elbow? You know what I mean? Like, no, we know what the surgery's on. So, I don't know. I'm a little surprised we haven't gotten the full update. But, again, master negotiator, master businessman, maybe they're just trying to keep the cards close to their chest so that they can talk about dates and they can talk about opportunities without the UFC pushing. I mean, the UFC is going to know what he's getting done. So, I don't even know what the plan is. It just seems weird to me. We don't still all know everything yet.
No, it's crazy. But it did make me think of, since we're doing like health things, so I went to the last Nevada commission, and so a lot of times, and we broached on a little bit earlier, when you said at 35 or whatever, they start doing the extra EKG. When you get near 38, that's when there's a different tick mark that the commissioners have to make sure that they're good to still continue or whatever.
Get like brain scans.
And with Giga, there was an actual new business line item where they actually talked about Giga. And so the Jeff Mullen, the executive director,
Giga Chikadze, obviously.
Giga Chikadze. And they were like, oh, hey, here's Giga or whatever. And he said, oh, he's done all the testing. Everything's good. Blah, 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 blah. I think everything's fine, but since it was a new line of business, he had to say his little bits, and then the commissioners, all right, was there a motion to accept it and let it go? So they had to do it. And I remember asking him, I was like, why'd you guys go that far, as opposed to just, because a lot of times it will just get roped up into the consent agenda, where it's just 30 different things that they're like, is there anything, any guys need to talk about anything on the agenda? No? Okay, good to go, whatever. And when I spoke with him, he said it could have went on that, but if you go back, Giga had that serious head injury going back into 2023, and they actually listed it in that particular thing. The condition, I'm trying to see if they find the words. Giga Chikadze had a serious injury, and Mullen actually said this too. He did go through serious medical tests. This is back in 2023. He was cleared. His suspension was lifted. He fought another jurisdiction, blah, blah, blah. Now he comes up for a license in December, and then he has been cleared by the test, but he has to be somewhere in there. They put that it had to go back in front of the commission to do it, since it was the severity of the brain thing. So as opposed to even just age, there are some protections that they're trying to put in these places that they want to make sure that they don't just say, okay, and forget that a fighter's went through some stuff. That if he's been through serious stuff and they are aging or in some of these serious brain injuries, that they have to pay attention and say, are we actually really good? Are we doing our due diligence to make sure that this fighter's actually good? So I thought that was interesting that actually happened, because normally I think a lot of times we see that we don't really pay attention. But in this particular one, I was like, what made you do this? But the fact that when it has happened, when they put the decision out, they put it in the decision in the wording that it had to go back. So this was their obligation to go back and do whatever. So I thought that was like, that
cool.
was actually pretty cool that they did that. But it was also a learning experience because I was like, he's 37. At 38's when they have it listed where you have the tick mark, and I was like, is this just what you do right before the 38 part? You have to do this, every time. And he said it's not just that. It was because it was such a serious one, and that they decided to put it in the wording that it had to go in whatever. But he said legally they could have just did it as a line item or whatever. But they're trying to be as safe and as transparent, which I
love it.
I give them credit for that. I was like, I think that's actually really cool that you were transparent about it.
And obviously, part of his liability and then trying to protect themselves and all that. And that's very true. But it does show that what they're worried about is the health and safety and looking out for the athletes. And that's awesome. Again, they're one of the best commissions in the country for a reason. And kudos to a reporter for actually showing up and covering the proceedings and asking about things and going a little bit further, man.
And here's the wording. The hearings are tied into the same statute. I just found it because I was like, I swear it said it, but I couldn't find it. I was scrolling too quick. NAC 467.017, which states if an athlete for a license to engage in an unarmed combat or an unarmed combatant has suffered a serious head injury, including but not limited to a cerebral hemorrhage, the applicant or unarmed combatant must have his or her application for a license or renewal reviewed by the commission before a license is issued or renewed. So it's in the actual statute that they have to pay attention to that shit, instead of, like you said, instead of just rubber stamping it and not really caring, like covering their liability, that's for sure, but also, they're supposed to be protecting the fighters, and it certainly seems that that's what that was about. I mean, granted, at the end of the day, when you watched it, it took a whole 2 minutes to happen, but the fact that the tests were already done, this was just a formality part. All the other work is done.
They're getting
elsewhere.
all the doctor work behind the scenes and all the paperwork and all that.
Yes. This was just the formality part of it.
It's again, I find it interesting, And again, there's a whole lot of stuff that happens leading up to.
We
the
pay
fights,
attention
man.
to so much, a lot of it, so much, and now you're seeing a lot of it too, as in your new role. But I mean, like, so much of it goes into that night when we see the fighter do the walkout, and then spend those possibly 3 to 5 minutes in a round, 3 to 5 rounds in a fight. All this other stuff that goes in, just to even make sure that they're even good to get in there and to make it happen. It's interesting. There's a lot of stuff that goes on, and it's easy to not pay attention to it and forget a lot of that stuff. But us nerds and junkies, I mean, it's kind of cool to understand the inner workings too, and to see that little stuff.
It's like I said, it's fun to me to get to see the different side of it. For years I've covered it from one side. Now it's like, all right, now being on the opposite side and getting this stuff done and going through it and all that, man.
It was funny because even being in that the meeting, because a lot of times I go to the meeting, they're like, "Why'd you go to the meetings?" I just try to make it, since it's here in town, I'm like, I want to be just be seen there and make the process easier. So when I do go and need to be there for something big, it's easy. But Dave Moretti, a longtime boxing judge, was been 50 years with the commission or whatever. They just he happened to be there in the thing, and so they said a little saying to him, and he came up and said some words to the commission. And actually, the boxing match that went on that just this past Saturday or whatever, they honored him or said something in the event as well or whatever. But yeah, 50 years. It's funny because you go back and there's a lot of people that are like, oh, he sucks. But a lot of people are like, bro, he's been around for 50 years. You're going to have bad
You're going to have, yeah. But you're going to have a bad day where you're telling me in 50 years of whatever you do at work, you never had one day where you went home and you were like, I definitely didn't nail it today.
Yeah. But 50 years of his life he's committed to boxing, and say what you will about whatever. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, it just happened to be the one that I decided to come in there, and so I got the Giga stuff,
amazing,
and then I got the Dave Moretti being able to get presented or whatever, and it was cool. He was so moved and emotional. He's an old dude, so he was getting choked up by the thing, and it's hard to not kind of get caught up. And it was just like, and so when at the very end of the event, when I'm going, or the meeting, I'm going to collect my microphone and stuff, and after it's done, I was like, well, that was pretty cool. That was worth coming right there. I was like, a lot of times they're like, there's not going to be much in the meeting done in moments, but this one was kind of unique in the fact that he was there as well. So, yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. That is super cool. One more other piece of note before we talk about this weekend real quick. I did want to point out Aspen Ladd has signed with BKB.
Yeah, look at that.
She's going to fight August 29th in Miami. Good for her. Like, obviously, we've covered a lot of Aspen Ladd's career. She had controversy around her career and, health things and all that. So, a lot going on there. But more so just because I like Aspen and the team around her. They're good people, man. And so happy for her to have a big opportunity. Sure, they got paid a little bit. But
I should hope so.
Yeah.
Bare knuckle. Like,
it's no joke,
get your money.
It is no joke. But I want to point out that Lauren Mack is over there. Now, Lauren, we've known forever, right? I mean, from the PFL, from one championship, from depending on how old you are and how far back you go, to the UFC days. Lauren Mack was around in the early days of, Dana White barnstorming to get people to accept and understand, and going into Blockbuster Video and helping arrange VHS. I mean,
that's crazy.
People.
Crazy.
I know people look at it now and they're like, "Oh, this guy's checked out. He doesn't even care." You know what I mean? Like, listen to the stories of this man and what he had to do to help build this thing. But anyway, so Lauren has been around and seen everything. But one thing Lauren, I think, has always been really good with is finding little angles that'll get people talking a little bit, right? Like you mentioned earlier, Biagio Ali Walsh, right? Like Lauren was somebody that helped find Biagio Ali Walsh. Like, hey, man, check these ties out. Obviously he's got ties to Muhammad Ali. He's got ties to Flavor Flav. You know what I mean? Like, there's all these different stuff that gets attention. I remember another one John Gotti III.
Oh gosh,
John Gotti III used to get a lot of headlines, right? It's just something different, right? Like, not saying, look, at the end of the day, the fighters are going to fight and they're going to go in there and they're going to be champions or they're not. But, understanding that one of the things that also helps for an organization that's not the UFC, that's outside of the mainstream where it's going to get covered regardless, is just finding some little hook, finding some little angle that's going to get people talking. And Lauren's always been pretty savvy about that. So when he grabbed Aspen Ladd, I was like, boy, that's got some Lauren Mack written all over it right there. He knows he's going to get some coverage from the mainstream players and that sort of thing. So anyway, I thought that was a very Lauren-esque signing over there.
It's funny you said Blockbuster made me think. I was like, Eli's never seen a Blockbuster.
Never seen a Blockbuster.
I think I just did a search. I was like, are there any Blockbusters? Because I thought
they're
all closed.
Right? There's like a couple.
And then I know one of the last ones. It said it might be the last, or colloquial known as the last Blockbuster. So maybe it's not the last one. It's in Bend, Oregon. But I think
that's the one I've heard, but it's not actual. For whatever reason, I want to say like John Oliver, like Last Week Tonight, covered that one time or something.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
it's funny you said Blockbuster. I was like, your kid's so young and like, Dad, what was a VHS?
I mean, how many people listen? That are fans of the sport have no idea. Like, getting a surcharge because you didn't rewind your tape or something.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Like, going and it's just wild to think about. Like, there's like 100 copies of the newest movie or whatever, and do they even have any left over? But I do. I mean, that was my first exposure to the UFC, was on VHS tape when those first VHS came out. I'll never forget. Literally, I was 1993. I think they came out at the end of '93 or the beginning of '94. I can't remember when they first went into Blockbuster, but I think they had already been through like 3 events before they came out, and So I would have been like 15 years old, and I remember I remember the Blockbuster that now obviously is not a Blockbuster in my hometown of DeSoto, Texas, around the corner from my mom's house, and just seeing that and like automatically being like, I got to check this out. And then as soon as I watched it the first time, like Hoist Gracie, I was hooked, bro. I'm like, that was it. And it was thanks to Blockbuster Video. You know what I mean? And then. And I've always joked, I guess now the statute of limitations is out, but I bought a second VCR so that I could record off the VHS tape so I could make like highlights. Did that. You know?
Everybody did that. I remember my dad did that, and I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. Because we like, can we get this movie? Can we copy this movie?
And I know it was bad, but like I was like, it wasn't because like I was making them. I was basically like making my own like UFC mixtapes.
Oh, nice.
And handing them out to people and be like, bro. And I would, instead of just having an event, I'd like take the highlight fights and be like,
wow, you did
dude,
some work.
I'd like go take this and go watch it, man. And people, oh, dude, that is badass. Like, that's crazy. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, VHS tapes. Crazy.
I know, right?
All right, this weekend, once again, we do have a busy weekend of mixed martial arts events. Again, I will encourage you on Friday night to check out CFFC 158. My man Kyle O'Hare is back with me on the microphone, so we'll handle that. But then Saturday, of course, UFC Fight Night, Gamrot versus Quillen Salkild. Great fight, to be honest.
That's a good fight.
I've heard a lot of people kind of banging on this fight. To me, this is what an Apex main event should be. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, you got Batal Gamrot, who's been around for a while, hasn't quite broken through to that upper echelon, but has proved he's definitely deserving of top 10, top 15 recognition.
Yep.
Quillen Salkild, who is this dude on the rise. Man, you could tell the UFC really believes in him, right? They've been doing marketing. They've been featuring him in social stuff, and now they're giving him this main event spot.
Which is an incredible honor. Yeah. Good for him. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you're wasting this kid at the Apex. I'm like, bro, you expect that they're going to give Salkild like a main event on the T-Mobile show? It's never going to happen. Like, you got to work it up.
This is it.
I get it that they're loving this dude, and this guy is talented, but I'm like, slow your roll. Like, I mean, like, you can't take this kid and throw him on Madison Square Garden. Hey, guys, got the Salkild main event. People are like, who? What?
That's it.
They're going to freak out.
This is the perfect
This is
booking.
perfect. It's a perfect venue. And he's got a perfect dance partner. I mean, like, this is going to be a banger, man.
I like it a lot. I really do. The rest of and again, I've seen a lot of people.
We get to see what the new Apex setup looks like.
Yeah, you're going to get that. So my flight gets in kind of late, so I didn't even. When do I get back on Saturday? I didn't even ask for a credential because I guess I could, but I don't.
Because you were going to miss media day tomorrow, and you were like, I just doesn't feel right.
I'm going to miss media day. I'm going to miss weigh-ins. I mean, I do get back at 2:30 on Saturday, but a couple things. Number one, I'm missing everything up to that point. I have a feeling
this is going to be a later in the day one. I think that you'd be plenty of fine.
I think, but it's like, I've been gone, and I got all these trips coming up, and like to tell my family, like, I'm going to go to the Apex. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but I am interested. I'm more interested, I think, than a lot of people.
Is it trying to say Tapology has it at 5 p.m. Eastern, so 2 p.m.
Yeah, so 2 p.m. is the prelims, then 5 p.m. is the main. There are some other fights in there, like Diego Ferreira versus Billy Quarantillo.
Good fight.
Fun fight. Darren Elkins versus Yadir Davai. I mean,
it's a tough fight, but it's Darren Elkins.
I'll sign up to watch Darren fight.
Darren.
If Darren's in, I'm in. Like that's a tough fight. That's a tough fight.
Somebody gonna be bleeding.
Yeah, well, Darren's gonna be bleeding if he's winning or not. Like it doesn't even matter.
Some ladies getting love on the main card.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Lemos and Alexia Tenara, which I think she has a lot of skill and a lot of personality. Ty Miller's getting the bump up against Billy Ray Goff on the main card. Prelims, I will say the one that I'm most excited about is Manuel Sosa versus Richie Miranda. Richie Miranda is one of those guys that on the regional scene for LFA, a lot of people have been chanting his name for a while. I mean, while Manuel Sosa came through CFFC. And is a problem. I think he has huge upside, but this is not an easy fight by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
To bring in a highly touted prospect, but I love that he's being tested like this, and so. Out of the prelims, I will say and again, I'm always going to have the CFFC bias, but this is not just CFFC bias. This is Manuel Sosa is one of those guys that came through CFFC, and I was like, this dude is the future. And then Bellator snatched him up. Like I guess it was PFL snatched him up, and then did PFL and Bellator where they didn't sign him long term, and then had to come through Contender Series, and that's his second UFC fight. He had that knockout against Balaji Oki last time out. Like he is a problem to me. So
I always like watching Juliana Miller. I have a feeling she loses. She might be done after this, but I love watching. She's nuts, man. She's fucking so cool.
She's a character.
Stephen Aspland.
Yep.
That's a good fight. I was thinking about when we were talking about the CFFC, how we've had some guys that had real shots, One of them ran into this guy,
I know.
And he is fun. He is incredible on the mic, and he is a lot of fun watching him. He's got a tough fight, but I think I would pick Steven just because he's so funny.
I would as
well. But
man,
it's a good card. But it's a solid card. But no, I mean, I think with Salkild and Gamrot at the top, I think is a perfect fight for the Apex.
This is a great Apex card. This is exactly what Apex events are supposed to be. Give guys opportunities, move them up a little bit.
Yep.
And then if Quillen wins here, you can imagine there's going to be some big opportunities for him in the very near future. But this is a big moment. Then
that opens up a door for co-main, like on a big event or something like that. I mean, I wouldn't put him to jump. I mean, he could quite possibly headline another Apex card in the future or something.
Mm-hmm.
I know he wants to get the bigger ones and he wants to push it, but this is where it starts. You put on a good fight, get a nice big win over a super, super tough opponent that's always right there in that top 10, top 15.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're setting yourself up. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he got a co-main event maybe down south or somewhere, closer in his neck of the woods or something.
Big time main event down there, or like you said, if it's a numbered event down there, and gets that opportunity, that'd be awesome. So
I mean, the UFC's
but
staying busy,
no joke,
man.
Though, by the way,
Gamrot's the real deal too. I mean, he's another dude that's just no bullshit. Just all business, shows up to fight week. He's always focused. He does what he needs to do, and then he puts on good fights. But, yeah, this is going to be a tough fight. It's a tough fight.
It is. By the way, you talk about UFC staying busy. Just before I got here, I don't even know if you had a chance to see this yet. Again, it's not just UFC, but just goes to show you the power of this brand. It's crazy. TKO, Arizona Sports and Events Alliance, and Legends Global announced Noche UFC, WWE Royal Rumble, and PBR World Finals coming to Arizona. 3 marquee events headline the start of a landmark multi-year partnership. So insane, right? That they can go in, talk to the Arizona Sports, you talk to the Travel Commission. Hey, we can bring you a UFC, we can bring you a WWE Royal Rumble, we can bring you a PBR World Finals, and then, oh, by the way, they're going to have some Zuffa boxing. I mean, it's nuts, man. It's nuts the amount of stuff that they have and can bring to the table to score these huge partnerships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know you're going to be excited about when I'm looking at it once it makes its way. It looks like Nolan King just did an interview with Bilal Hassan earlier today. So that'll be on MMA Junkie.
Can't wait to check it out. I will definitely check that one out.
Up soon. So, yeah. I happened to see that and I was like, oh shit, look at that.
Beautiful. Now Bilal's the real deal, man. If you've watched CFFC at all, man, I've been championing that guy for a long time, and it's not just hey, promoting the CFFC brand. Like, this dude is, to me, the complete package. The fighting style, the personality, the social media presence, like everything that the modern era is looking for. Like, I believe it now. You got to go out there and win. You know what I mean?
Go out there and win.
You're not facing a chump. You're facing somebody else on Contender Series for a reason. So, I like that, man. I'm excited. I can't wait to check that out. He's a good kid. Like I said, 25. I think this is about the right time. I mean, like I said, I felt he's been ready for a while, but I do preach it, man, and I'll stand behind it. I think when you're an amateur, don't rush to the pros. I get it, man.
Yep.
But get that experience, and then once you're a pro, don't rush it to the UFC. Make sure that you're ready to stay there. Even if I believe you're ready, it doesn't hurt to stick back for a little while and just make sure that once you're there. I know. I think the one that everybody's focused on right now is Paddy Pimblett. Like, I feel like that story is making the rounds again. I mean, we've known it forever if you're a hardcore, but I feel like maybe the general audience is just now finding out the whole, like, hey, he turned it down several times because he wanted to make sure he's ready. And now, look, it paid dividends, again.
Yep.
And not only that, depending on where you are, you might be able to drive up your asking price. Again, Usman Nurmagomedov, like, what's Usman going to get now versus had he walked all the way in as a, just starting off.
Yep.
Yep,
we've seen, and I mean, coming in with the belt, you're at least top 5.
It's big.
Probably top 5.
PFL, by the way, this week as well, they've got that stretch going on. PFL, they're in a unique spot, right? Because they've kind of got this partnership going, but not quite yet. It doesn't really start till January, and so we'll see what these next couple of events are like. Because they're not going to have like a full-on new look. Like, they're not going to redo the graphics package in a week, or they're not going to redo whatever. But they do have Brian Battle, I should say, versus Dalton Rosta in Charlotte this weekend on Friday night. So if you can tune in and check that out.
You think the PFL fans are going to stop booing Jake when they see him at events?
Right?
I was like, why are they booing him?
That was weird.
I know, right?
I mean, like, what has he done so wrong?
I know.
I it.
I don't know. It just struck me. I was like, did they not see the news? Did they not know why he's there? He's like part of Team PFL.
Trying to help this organization stick around. trying to bring eyeballs.
I was like, yeah,
make the company profitable. Like, boo! Run your own company. Boo! That was pretty wild.
I was like, let's be interesting. He's going to be around, folks, so, get used to it.
He's going to be around, and he's going to be front and center, man.
They're certainly not I don't know if that was immediately by design. They're like, we want you up in there, or just like, hey, be off and be the back. But I'm glad. I mean, it made sense. I'd rather see him up there than Nikisa.
Agreed.
I think it just makes more sense for the age and for the people that they're trying to drag in or whatever.
Speak to the audience.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense. But so I was just surprised. I was like, holy cow, he's getting booed there too. I was like, man, interesting. I'm sure it'll eventually change. I mean,
or not.
I mean, it's certainly I appreciate that he's just like, whatever. You can don't boo me or whatever, blah blah blah. But at some point,
booing is better than silence, right? Booing is better than silence.
But at some point, you figure, do you want to win them over, or are you just fine with them always staying mad at you? And I think if you want to win them over, you change a little bit. But if you don't really care, then you don't change. So it'd be interesting to see how he approaches that.
Like, you don't want to listen to haters or whatever. You don't want to let that stuff impact you. But never forget, like, constructive criticism, or at least just the audience,
we want them here in the seats.
Yeah. I think about, it was funny, I don't watch much pro wrestling, but, like, I watched Punk the other night on the Royal Rumble. Or not the Royal Rumble, what do you call it?
Monday night?
SummerSlam.
Okay.
I watched the night. I didn't watch both nights, but I watched the night that he was there, and he had a great match, and he retained, which is...
Was it against Cody or
Cody Rhodes? Yeah, okay. So I was a little worried.
I remember seeing a headline that they were matching up or whatever.
I was a little worried because Cody Rhodes was busy advertising or sharing the partnership because he's in the Street Fighter movie that's coming out, and I'm like, man, he's promoting Street Fighter. I'm like, they're gonna make him walk away with the belt, right? But Punk walked with the belt.
But that takes, movie schedule takes a lot of time.
That's true
he
too,
might
right?
He might be like, guys,
so they had to pull him out.
They can't really do that.
So I was a little worried, but I was glad to see Punk win. But I say all that to say that because in pro wrestling it was like listen to the audience, like hear what they you can kind of guide the match by listening to what's there. So it's like for Jake Paul, it's easy to be like F him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, well, hold on, man, like they are your fan base.
They are your fan base,
so
and you want to grow the fan base. You don't want to alienate them, but at some point, so it'll be interesting.
That would be
but
bizarre.
I don't think he's ever really sort of changed, and that's kind of been his MO. But you figure at some time when you're being brought in to kind of help bring up another organization, you kind of at some point you want him to do whatever.
He can't fade into the background. Like, you gave away half of your company for his services, essentially, right? Like, when people talk about this merger, and I've seen a lot of people pointing out, they're like, wait a minute, a merger? Like, what did MVP have in terms of assets that they were merging? You know what I mean? And it's true. It's not like what they were merging with was the relationships, Jake Paul,
the promotional
Netflix,
aspect of it.
So
the ties to the youth, ties to just ties to a different audience, or something. So
fun. Well, I still think it's good
thing.
times, man. Like I said, I believe my enthusiasm from last week continues this week as well, man. I really do believe it's a good time. Again, we still have yet to see exactly the full breadth of Scott Coker's promotion, and we'll get to see all that soon. But yeah, man, I think it's a good time. Again, bidding services. When you've got multiple promotions out there, it's good for the fighters because again they have options. At least to just go shop and see, and that's good. And then, dude, I just think a little healthy competition drives you to be better, right? You know what I mean? Like, and granted, I know, I saw Dana White, and I think he's being 100% honest in Serbia when he was asked about it, and he's like, bro, I don't think about them. He's like, I'm thinking about how do we compete with the NBA, the NHL, the Major League Baseball, the NFL, and he's being 100% true because they're taking that top of the tier money. But when it comes to locking up fighters, making sure that you have the best, making sure the production is the best, making sure that you don't see another organization see that they did something revolutionary production-wise, and you're like, why are we doing that? Like, how did they do that? And again, making sure that you don't see athletes and go, how do they have that guy? Like, why did we miss them?
Yeah.
So, anyway. think it's a good thing. All right, listen, I got to go get packed up. I'm not flying the red eye tonight, but I got an early flight tomorrow. Heading to Ohio for the first time in forever. Haven't been there in a long time. Io, it's mandatory. You have to. We're actually staying at a hotel on the Kentucky side. The airport is in Kentucky, so we're actually staying on the Kentucky side. Just
maybe you can
close to the airport.
Can get you some Donatos and Skyline.
Knock it all out.
Get everything.
We got.
I think what else is down in Cincy, but I mean, if you get the Skyline, you're good. But I know Donatos is another one that I always try to get.
Donatos was a local, I remember.
Yeah, but yeah, as
pizza
for
spot
on that particular side, I'm not sure what. I'm sure you're gonna get some good food down by the water.
Yeah,
they have a pretty. Actually, I remember partying down there on the little waterfront. I'm sure
Covington, I believe, is it Covington or
somewhere around there.
What it's called?
Yeah,
I can't remember what the whole area is called, but yeah.
But yeah, there's some good times. Good times.
Sure, might have
that's good, man. I'm excited for you.
All right, tune into UFC Fight Pass. I said it's going to get super crazy, so get used to this Tuesday delivery for a couple of weeks.
A couple weeks.
Yeah, and then we'll get back, of course, to later in the week. But this just makes life a lot easier because I stress out a lot less.
I stress out a lot less.
Yeah, I don't have to hose cold coffee.
I'm like, we doing it? Oh, no. All right, I'll ask again tomorrow. Hey, we doing this? No? All right.
This is a much better arrangement.
You're like, well, we could try Sunday. I was like, let me just see if we can get somebody.
This is a much better arrangement from our perspective. Hopefully you guys are good with it too. So anyway, enjoy the week, everybody. A lot of MMA this weekend. Catch as much as you can. And thanks for listening.